Titans fans, get your report cards out. I'm giving out my grades for the Tennessee Titans draft class on today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by Monopoly Go. I admit I have a competitive side and is a big fan of Monopoly Go, the mobile hit twist on classic Monopoly. Join your friends and download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. I am handing out my grades for the Tennessee Titans draft class on today's show. I'm going to go pick by pick and give my individual grades for each of those. And then at the end of the show, give out my total grade for the draft class as a whole. Did Rancor Thon cook? I will answer that on today's show. Before I get into it, thank you for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. You're not going to beat that anywhere else. Make sure you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day here on the Locked On Titans podcast. Shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday, all weekend long during the draft. I put out so much content for you guys, instant reaction videos, recap videos every night, doubling down. I definitely do appreciate all the support that you guys gave back to me. If you wouldn't mind, again, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, show some love for all the content that I've been pushing out for free for you guys during this draft process. But I got a lot more coming as well. Tomorrow, we're going to look how each of these rookies fit into the Titans roster this year. The next day, we're going to look at how they fit in the long term. The next day, we're going to look at remaining needs and free agents available at those needs. We'll talk undrafted free agents as well. And then I'll be doing a mailbag at the end of the week. Follow me at TicTac Titans on Twitter and check that out. Again, I am your host, Tyler Rowland. 25 years as a Tennessee Titans fanatic, certified film junkie, breaking down the X's and O's, cover the team for Sports Illustrated, cover the team for USA Today, all of that stuff. But with all that being said, let's get it, folks. Let's get into these grades. Number one for J.C. Latham, I give it an A-. All right, so Latham has incredible upside. We talk, obviously everybody knows I was the leader of the alt call. I like Joe Alt, wanted him there. But there are clear differences here between Joe Alt as a player and J.C. Latham. And I think it would be completely fair to say that J.C. Latham has great upside. Joe Alt is a plug-and-play, solid offensive tackle for a decade. Like, he's just going to be a solid player. Think Taylor Lewan, Jake Matthews, Colton Miller. When we talk about J.C. Latham, there's a little more risk involved there, but J.C. Latham has the chance to be the best tackle in the NFL. The power, the mobility, and again, he played at like 360 pounds at Alabama. Nick Saban has said that was a requirement for his offensive linemen. Now, at the next level with the Titans, Latham has already said he's lost 20 pounds since college. He's going to be a guy who plays around 340, 345. And with increased mobility, with a little bit of weight off of him, he's going to be able to kind of clean up some of the things that worry you about him as a player, mirroring edge rushers, dealing with speed off the edge. If he can add more athleticism and more mobility to the power that he already has with his grip strength, this is an A- for me. I liked the idea of getting J.C. Latham. I was okay with that pick. If the Titans wanted to do that at 7, I wasn't through the roof. I wasn't hyped. But you hear Bill Callahan thinks he's athletic enough to play on the left side. You hear that he's already dropped 20 pounds. Those really alleviate, those pieces of information really alleviate some of the concerns that I had about Latham coming out of college, which kind of ratchets. I initially was going to give it a B+, but now that we've heard those things, it's a clear A- for me. And again, where Joe Alt is going to be a steady starter, reliable, who you can count on, J.C. Latham has all-pro, best offensive tackle in the NFL upside. And with Bill Callahan coaching him, there's a great chance that he has the ability to reach that. So I do like the Latham pick. A- for J.C. Latham. And, again, at 21 years old, the sky is the limit for that guy. I think that he is going to be the Tennessee Titans starting left tackle from day one. Moving forward, though, T'Vondre Sweat in the second round. All right, guys. I mean, I got absolutely, crucified, quite honestly, online for my harsh reaction to the T'Vondre Sweat pick. Now, I'm not going to play a victim. When you come out of the gate as harsh and as intense as I am, you're going to get harsh and intense back. So that's just the nature of the beast. But I'm not going to come off my stance for you guys. This is a D. I had it as a D minus when it happened, but I'll give it a D now because it does fill a need. The Titans needed a nose tackle, and they got a nose tackle. Look, 6'4", 366 pounds, 22 years old, going to be 23 in July. Sweat didn't do anything in his first 4 years at Texas. Finally had a breakout season and won the Outland Trophy in his fifth year, his second senior year. Guys, I don't like what I see on tape. He gets too high. Everybody talks, oh, he's such a mountain of a man. He can hold up against the double team. He gets too high out of his stance at the snap, and he gets pushed by guys who aren't NFL players at they're college level players who aren't going to go to the NFL, and they're moving him because he gets so high. You add in the off-field stuff, the concern with the DUI, the concern with the class clown, the party animal, and let me tell you this. I had someone on Saturday morning who's involved in the NFL reach out to me and say, hey, I've been seeing you're taking a lot of heat for your take on T'Vondre Sweat, which I am, whatever. That's the name of the game. I can live with that. But the person I talked to said, one thing I wanted to let you know is during Sweat's meetings with teams, he admitted that he was a bit of a party animal. And while admitting that, he said that, basically he's cleaned up his act. He's changed his ways, blah, 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 blah. And that's in February and March when he's saying that to teams. And then, of course, 3 weeks before the draft, he gets popped for the DWI, the DUI, whatever you want to call it. So I just, a guy is telling teams that he's changed his ways, blah, 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 and then something like that happens. That's where a lot of the concern comes from for me. So you could say that the Titans went down and vetted him out and spoke with his family. All I would say is local man on his best behavior during a job interview when he's set to make millions. Of course he's going to be on his best behavior when the Titans go and visit him. He wants to get drafted. You look at where he was ranked on draft boards. Not for me. If you want to be mad at me and say, I'm dumb, whatever. But what about Daniel Jeremiah? What about Dane Brugler? What about James Foster? What about people who are scouts in the NFL who tell you he's a party animal, he's a class clown, he's got problems off the field? The Titans' own people on the OTP reacting to the pick said he enjoyed Austin. He enjoyed Austin. Put the dots together here, guys. So I'm not moving off my criticism of this pick. It's a D for me. I move it from a D minus to a D because the Titans did need a nose tackle, and they got it. But at the end of the day, you can look at the pass rush upside. You can look at all that. But if he doesn't keep himself in shape, and if he doesn't take football serious, and he doesn't clean up his behavior off the field, all the talent that he has, which is undeniable, power, quickness, size, handwork, the way he knocks hands down at the line of scrimmage to get around offensive linemen, you do see flashes of greatness there. I'm not going to deny that that's on the tape. I've watched the tape. I'm going to do my breakdown. I'm going to talk about the good, and I'm going to show you guys the bad too. But look, it isn't just the off-field stuff. It's what I see on tape that's concerning as well. And there's a reason that he was ranked outside of the top 100 by multiple reputable sources that aren't Tyler Rowland of Locked On Titans. The biggest, most important, most respected scouts in the business had major concerns. So that's a D for me, but I'll give an A minus to J.C. Latham and a D to T'Vondre Sweat. We're going to get into the mid-round picks that the Tennessee Titans made. I'm going to give you my grade on those and also give you my overall grade for the draft class at the end of the show. So we'll get into that next. Before we do, though, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball is also in full swing. Go Redlegs. And FanDuel is the place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. You can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Also want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the best place to purchase tickets. All right. They have the best features in the business. Number one, all-in prices. So when you see your price for your seats, that's actually what you're going to pay when you go to check out. You also get a panoramic view from your seat, so you know what you're going to be looking at when you sit down. Nobody else can beat that. Okay. They also have last minute deals like their flash zone deals. They have their low price guarantee, the Game Time guarantee. So much going on Game Time. I bought concert tickets there, basketball, baseball, football. They have everything, comedy, theater, anything that you want to do. You can find tickets for it on Game Time. So just make sure that you take the guesswork out of buying tickets, especially buying NBA tickets for the playoffs with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL, LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Titans fans, let's continue today's grades of the Tennessee Titans 2024 NFL draft class. I just talked J.C. Latham, talked to Vondre Sweat. Now we need to get into these mid-round picks that I think were very, very solid for the Tennessee Titans. Before we get into it, thank you again for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen each and every day, Monday through Friday. Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure you get subscribed, stay subscribed. Again, it's your team every day. Shout out to my everydayers out there. Hope you guys are enjoying the content. Tomorrow we're going to look at how these guys fit within the roster, within the scheme. I'm going to have film breakdown videos on every single player throughout this week. We're going to do Latham on his own, Sweat on his own, Gray on his own. I'm going to pair Brownlee and Jackson up. I'm going to pair Williams and Harrell up as well. So I'm going to have a ton of film content over on the Tic Tac Titans film channel this week as well. The description down below is going to have a link to the Tic Tac Titans YouTube channel so you guys can get subscribed there. But with that being said, the next pick we got to talk about is Cedric Gray, North Carolina linebacker. I love this pick. When I talked about it in my day 3 reaction, I made it clear. Really love this pick. I think Cedric Gray is going to be a starter from day 1 for the Tennessee Titans. Rangy linebacker with great instincts, former safety with good play speed. The time speed wasn't as good as some people thought, but you watch him on film and the guy is absolutely moving. 6'1", 234, forces turnovers, 11 turnovers forced with 5 interceptions. 5-time captain, including high school and college, can be the green dot linebacker to call the plays for the Titans defense. I love Cedric Gray. That's a B+ pick for me. Look, he's a 4th round guy who maybe doesn't have great strength, doesn't play with great power, has to learn how to shed blocks when offensive linemen get on him. We're talking about a guy who went outside of the top 100. So I'm not going to sit here and sell you guys that this is an elite linebacker prospect. It's not like, they just drafted Roquan Smith in the 1st round. I'm not going to give it an A in that way, but it's as good of a pick that I could think of for the Titans in the 4th round. A B+ for me. I think he's going to start right away. He's going to be impactful right away. And Ran Carthon in his history has had a ton of success with mid to late round linebackers. So really excited for what Cedric Gray can do for the Tennessee Titans. Again, that's a B+ for me. And of course, make sure you guys are giving your grades down below. How would you grade these picks? How would you grade the draft class? Let me know how you guys feel. But moving on to Jarvis Brownlee. 5'10", 194-pound cornerback out of Louisville. Press man, physical, feisty, get in your face, hands in your chest at the line of scrimmage. Probably going to be a nickel guy. I think he's just going to add depth for the Tennessee Titans. But there will be injuries. We're 2 years away, but Roger McCreary will be a free agent in 2 years. Will the Titans want to bring back a nickel corner? Will they want to pay a nickel corner? Maybe Jarvis Brownlee takes over that spot in 2 years. That's down the line. We'll talk about that later in the week. But I think this is a better pick than some people think. Some people are like, why would we take a cornerback? Why would they get a cornerback when they just did? You can never have too many cornerbacks. And a guy who is feisty and physical and fearless and willing to put his hands on wide receivers at the line of scrimmage and isn't scared to get beat and is ready to line up the very next snap and do it again. I like that pick a ton. Now, Brownlee doesn't have great long speed. He's maybe not a freak athlete. You know, he can get a little grabby. And again, like I said, I think there's a good chance he's only a nickel cornerback at the next level. And I think he might know that because he even said in his interview with the Titans after he was drafted that he's probably going to play in the nickel. He likes playing in the nickel. So I think that's where he goes. And with those things calculated in for me, it's just a solid B. It's just a solid B grade for Jarvis Brownlee Jr. Very appropriate that his last name's Brownlee, and I'm giving him a B. You know what I mean? So to me, I like the pick. I'm not going to be over the moon and tell you it's an A and blah, blah, blah. He's not a starter right away. Not a guy who I think can play on the outside long term, but a great schematic fit for the Titans. Good depth at cornerback. You can never have too many. That's a B for me. The final grade that I'm giving for the mid-round guys is Jaquan Jackson, and I'm going to give this a C+. All right? I can't tell you with certainty that he's going to be impactful on offense right away. I think they could probably scheme up some gadget plays for him, use him in the slot on some slot fades, try to hit some deep. But the reality is there are some downsides with Jaquan Jackson that we just simply can't ignore. He's only 5'9", 188 pounds. He's already going to be 24 years old here very soon. So it's not like you got a prospect with a ton of potential, you know. But look, he's quick and fast, which is important. Kyle Phillips is only quick. He's not fast with his straight line speed. So Jaquan Jackson is quick and fast, gives you yards after catch opportunity because he's shifty and shaky, is going to be his starting punt returner and kick returner, in my opinion. And Rand Carthon said that at the press conference after day 3. He said that they see Jaquan Jackson as somebody with dual return threat ability. So he's going to be able to do kick return and punt return for the Titans. I think that's a good value. All right. But again, smaller player, yards after catch shiftiness, but he's not breaking tackles or running through tackles. He's a slight guy, small guy, so you got to take that into account. And at the NFL level, that's only going to be magnified as well with everybody being bigger, stronger, and faster. He did have 6 muffs of kick returns, so is he sure-handed? Is he going to be able to hold on to the ball at the NFL level if he had some muffs in college? And he had injuries. Had a torn labrum, had a torn MCL, had an ankle injury his last year in college where he missed 3 games. Like, I'm not going to sell to you that this is like a perfect squeaky clean fit for the Titans. But with all the upside of being a returner, adding not only quickness, but deep speed to the slot position where the Titans needed it. The Titans had Mason Kinsey, Kyle Phillips, 2 white dudes. We know what they're doing. They don't have deep speed. All right. They aren't shifty after the catch. Kyle Phillips has proven that he can't be trusted as a returner. Mason Kinsey will catch the ball, but he won't do much after it. So let's get somebody with a little more athleticism in the slot. And the other guy that got mentioned by the coaching staff in the slot was NWI. What? So look, I think this was necessary to add. I would have liked to seen a wide receiver earlier in the draft, quite honestly. But with Ricky Pearsall and Ladd McConkey going off the board so early before the Titans could pick in the second round, you know, they were in a tough spot there, quite honestly. So I give this a C, and we will see what happens. So that's how I feel about the mid-round guys. Again, let me know your grades down below. We're going to talk about the 7th round options that the Titans got, what my grades were for them. And then I'm going to give my overall grade for this draft class as well. Before we do that, though, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Look, I have a competitive side. I think it's pretty obvious to everybody. You know what I mean? But with that being said, my competitive side loves Monopoly Go. And I'm going to pause here for a second and talk about Monopoly Go. I know you're saying flag on the play. You already talked about that. But there is so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you could team up with your friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get unique stickers you can trade with your friends, to complete albums for big prizes, cool new places that you can travel to and different boards that you can play, hilarious emojis that you can use to taunt your friends when you smash their buildings and heist their vaults. So much fun stuff. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or robot pachinko machine. There's always new timed events to help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win and rent frenzies. I mean, there's so much I can barely say it all. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench, download it for free right now on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We gave grades for the Titans' first 5 picks of the draft. Now I want to hit their 2 7th-round picks. I'm going to get my grades for those and my overall grade for the class. Thank you again for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen each and every day. Tomorrow, I'll look at the short-term fit for all the rookies. The next day, I'll look at the long-term fit for all the rookies. We'll look at remaining needs and veteran free agents after that, and then a mailbag to cap off the week. A lot of content here for you on the Locked On Titans podcast. Get subscribed, stay subscribed. But I told you guys on my day 3 recap show, I loved the pick. That's not James Williams. Of James Williams, the safety linebacker combo out of Miami. He's already said he's going to play linebacker for the Titans. The Titans see him as a linebacker. It's already been stated out in the public at the press conference on Saturday night. So he is a linebacker for the Titans. 6'4", 230 pounds, 33-inch arms. Height, weight, speed, athlete, only 21 years old. And I mentioned it yesterday. He was a highly recruited, highly rated high school football player who did not live up to the potential in college. But in the 7th round, you take a player like that and see if you can get that potential out of him. What's the risk? It's a 7th round pick. So I love James Williams as an option for the Titans as a sub-package linebacker early on. He could play man coverage on tight ends, man coverage on running backs. He's a good physical blitzer. This is a guy who's going to smack you over the middle of the field. And you look at Cedric Gray, Jarvis Brownlee, J.C. Latham, Tavondre Sweat. These are physical players who want to punch you in the mouth, all right? The Titans wanted football toughness in this draft class, and they got more of it in the 7th round with James Williams. I'm giving the pick a B. I'm giving a B to James Williams. Better than some of the grades that I gave to the mid-round picks, and definitely better grade than I gave to Tavondre Sweat. I just really like this. These are the kind of dart throws that I really like for the Tennessee Titans. Like, I really like this kind of stuff. Athletic guy, great potential, size, weight, speed type athletes. That's what I'm looking for there. So a B for James Williams. Then Jalen Harrell out of Michigan. I'm just going to give it a C. I don't know if Harrell is a guy who's going to make the roster. He's going to come in and compete with Thomas Rush and Caleb Murphy. I think the Titans might ultimately sign an edge in free agency as well. You got Rashad Weaver in there, although I think Weaver has a much better chance to stay on the roster. Harrell is 6'3", 247 pounds, about to turn 22 years old. Good straight line speed, good speed to power move, rushing the quarterback, plays with physicality. He's tough, will play special teams. He's a good locker room guy who loves football. All right. That is what's most important with some of these late round picks is get guys that love football. You want athletes and you want guys who you can count on to love football. And I think that Harrell has a chance to really make the roster if he's great on special teams in the return games, coverage units, stuff like that. That'll be critical because he doesn't have great strength. He doesn't have the flexibility and the bend that you need to be a top-tier edge rusher in the NFL. His hands need more power. He's a guy who needs to be in an NFL weight room and an NFL program for a while. Get out of college. Michigan is about as close as you could come to that, honestly, with Jim Harbaugh running the show. So I think, some of the potential is definitely limited, but I'll give it a C. It's not a bad pick. It's not a great pick. I'm just kind of like, all right, they're taking a dart throw on a tough guy from a good program who will come in and do the right things and have good character and ultimately, be a good presence in the locker room and try hard. He's going to be a try hard. And there are guys who make a career out of that. So those are my grades for each player. A- for Latham, D for T'Vondre Sweat, B+ for Cedric Gray, B for Jarvis Brownlee, C for Jaquan Jackson, B for James Williams, C for Jalen Harrell. You look at the totality of it all. Draft classes, we don't really know how well a draft class or how good a draft class is until a few years from now. I think 3 years from now, 3 seasons of watching these guys, you really have a good understanding of what they're going to be and what they can be. And as we get into the summer, I'm going to go back and grade some former draft classes, something I like to do in kind of the downtime in the summer months. But my initial reaction grade to this draft is just a B. Just a B. All right. Again, I like the Latham pick. I like Cedric Gray. Brownlee with the depth. Taking a chance on James Williams. But I just really hated the Sweat pick. I know you guys hate it, and you're so mad at me that I don't like the T'Vondre Sweat pick. Whatever. I mean, that's how I feel. So I just hate that pick. And when you only have 2 picks in the top 100, 7 and 38, you have to nail those picks. You have to nail them. And I don't think the Titans, not only did I don't think the Titans nailed the T'Vondre Sweat pick, I think it was a disaster. It was a terrible choice. It's funny, I've had so many people from around the NFL, from different teams, people who cover different teams, people who scout, like, what are the Titans doing? This looks like a Mike Vrabel draft. And, I don't have much to say. I can't push back because I think the Latham pick is better than those people think, but the Sweat pick, it just kills me, man. So with how important pick 38 is and how disappointed I am with the pick, I can't give the draft any more than a B. Gray, I think, will be a starter right away. Jaquan Jackson could be a starter at returner. I think he could be, but outside of that, James Williams, Jalen Harrell, will they make the team? Jaquan Jackson, with the injuries, being an older prospect, can he take that spot from Kyle Phillips? Jarvis Brownlee, again, is CB4. Although I like him and how he fits the team, it's still CB4. I got to give it a B. I wish I could be more excited for you. I wish I could be over the moon and elated about the draft class. I know that's what you guys want, but I have to be honest with you. I have to tell my truth and live with it, So I'm giving this draft class a B for right now. But let's just say this. If T'Vondre Sweat proves me wrong and T'Vondre Sweat turns into a freak, then this is going to be an A draft. It's going to be an A draft because you get 2 anchors on either side of the lines. And that is invaluable. So we'll see. To me, this is a good draft right now. If Sweat works out, it's a great draft, but I just don't have high hopes that he will. So we'll see. It's on you now, T'Vondre Sweat. Can you clean up the act? Can you be a good soldier like Ran Carthon asked you to be when he called you? Can Jeffrey Simmons and Keandre Coburn, a practice squad level defensive lineman that the Titans have to keep around to be a babysitter for this guy, are they going to be able to keep him on the straight and narrow in one of the biggest party cities in the United States? The odds are against it, but we will see. We will see. And as any of you guys know who have been listening to my show for any length of time, if I'm proven wrong, I'm going to come on here and say I was wrong. So Sweat has to prove it, though. He has to prove it. But with that being said, that is going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.